Okay, so hi everyone, we're going to do another video on percentage multipliers. Now, we've already done a video on working out percentage of amounts using the 10% as a base rule. Now what we're going to do is take it one step further and think about how we're going to work out percentages if we can use a calculator. And actually, to be fair, this is probably the one that most of us, if we do any percentage calculations, will probably find this the most useful. So this is called a multiplier method. So a multiplier, as the name suggests, is something that you multiply. It's actually a decimal value that you multiply to work out a percentage change. Okay, so as the word suggests, it's something that you multiply, and we can actually use this for something a bit later on as well. When you go a bit further on, we can use it for repeated percentage change, which is also known as compound interest or depreciation. So how do we use a multiplier? Now, I'm going to show it to you using three different uses. So the first one is working out a percentage of an amount. The second one is working out a percentage increase. And thirdly, a percentage decrease. Now, what we can do is we can use this interchangeably. As soon as you understand the method, you don't have to only learn percentage of an amount or only a percentage decrease or only a percentage increase. You can actually flip between them all quite fluidly. So that's what we're going to try and practice, okay? And in order to do that, we're going to use the same percentage and the same amount for these three different scenarios, okay? So let's say the question is always going to be based on 35% and let's say based on 750, for example. So the first thing we're going to do is work out percentage of an amount. So let's start off by doing 35% of 750. The way that we work it out is you convert the percentage into a decimal. So 35% as a decimal, the way you work it out is you divide by 100, which gives you 0.35. Now, not 0.35%. Remember, when you're converting it, the percentage sign disappears. It's actually now the decimal equivalent of 35%. Now, what is of commonly used, interchangeably used in mathematics? It's actually the time sign. So what you're actually doing is you are multiplying, so multiplier, 0.35 by the amount, which is 750. So what we're going to do is, if I do that, 0.35, put that to a side over there, 0.35 times 750, which is equal to £262 or 262.5. Now, this is slightly different from the method that if we were using it without a calculator, we would do 10%, then 30%, then work out 5%, which is a bit longer. So that is working out 35% of an amount. Okay, now, how does this change if we're working out 35% increase of an amount? So how does this work? So imagine I change this to 35% increase. Now, the word increase means goes up. Okay, as we all know, the word increase means it goes up. Now, whenever we're working out a percentage increase, we always have to think about what is the original percentage of any number? What is the whole value, a whole percentage of any number, which you should all know is 100%. So if I'm working out a 35% increase, what I'm actually doing is I'm adding 35% to the original value, which is 100%, which is the same as working out 135%. Okay, same as working out 135%. And just like we did over here, we converted into a decimal. I also convert 135% into a decimal. How do I do that? I divide by 100, which is 1.35. And that gives me a multiplier of 1.35. What that means is if I multiply any number by 1.35, I automatically increase by 35%. Okay, so what do you think we'd do if we were working out a percentage decrease? Okay, so what about a 35% decrease? Here, for an increase where it goes up, I added. So likewise, it must mean that if I'm working at a 35% decrease, which means it goes down, what percentage am I going down from? What's the original value of a number that I'm taking away 35% from? It must be 100%. And because it's a decrease, I'm taking it away, which is 65%. Now, what did I do over here? How did I convert 135% to a decimal? I divided it by 100. What do you think we'll do over here? Same thing, divided by 100, which gives me 0.65. So what that means is if I multiply any number by 0.65, it's the same as me working out a 35% decrease. So let me go back to this second question. Remember, I'm using the same amount of 750 for all three different types of questions. Let me write this down again. So the question was 35%, and the number was 750. So let me do it in three different columns. Percentage of, a percentage increase, and a percentage decrease. Okay, sorry, I'll run out of space there. Okay, so percentage of, I literally convert and multiply. So 35% is 0.35, and then I times it by 700 and, oops, sorry, not 750, what was the original value? Yep, sorry, 750. 750, which as we worked out earlier, is 262.5. 262.5. If I am doing a percentage increase, instead of 0.35, I do 100 plus 35%, which is 1.35 as a multiplier. I times it by the original value, which is 750. And now, if I was to do this again, it will be 1.35 times 750, which is 1012.5. Now, what do you think I do for a percentage decrease? It must be, this bit bigger, it must be that I do 100 take away 35%, which is 65%, which is 0.65 times 750, which is 0.65 times 750, which is 487.5 or 0.50. Now, this is exactly what you would have done if you were working at the 10% method. If you're working at the 10% method, manually you do 10%, you do 30%, you do 5%, and if you're working out a percentage of an amount, you'd just work out your answer. If it was a percentage increase, you'd add it on to 750, which is a 1012.5, and if you're working out a percentage decrease, you would take it away from 750, which would still give you these exact same answers. Now, if I do it without explaining it, okay, and if I understand the concept, then it becomes a lot simpler. All I have to do is remember that for percentage of, I just convert to a decimal and then I times. For a percentage increase, I convert, I add to 100, and then I multiply. And for a percentage decrease, I convert, I take away from 100, and then I multiply. So let's give that a practice for you. So let's say I want you to work out 38% increase on 940. What I'll ask you to do is just pause it for a few seconds and see if you can work it out. I'll resume in 5 seconds. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to pause this video and try it out yourself. So 38% increase on 940, or you increase 940 by 38%. So what I do is, because it's an increase, it means you go up. What do you add it on to? The original value, which is 100%. So actually, you're going to do 100 plus 38%, which is 138%, which is 1.38. So I've converted, or added it on, 1.38. And now what do? I multiply 940 times 1.38, which gives me 940 times 1.38, which is 1297.2. 1297.2. Let's try another one. Do a 29% decrease of 146.3. I'll give you 5 seconds again. You can pause the video. Alright, so 29% decrease means goes down. So what do you take it down from? 100%. So 100% take away 29% is equal to 71%, which is equivalent to 0.71. That is my multiplier. So I do 0.71 times by my value, which is 146.3, which my calculator tells me is 0.71 times 146.3, which is 103.873. So hopefully you find that useful. I would please request that you do practice this. Reason why is because multipliers is probably a very, very easy topic if you think about it, if you kind of understand what you're doing, and you should be hopefully able to kind of fluidly move between working out a percentage of an amount, increase or decrease. And because percentage is probably one of the most relevant maths that we do in our everyday life for a lot of people, this will be really, really useful for you. So if you find these videos useful, please remember to subscribe. So, I've forgotten how to spell there. Subscribe and like and share. Thank you.